Hello. Hopefully I'm now live on both Facebook and LinkedIn. Thank you for anybody who's here, who's joining. Please drop a note in the chat. Just let me know, that you're here. And also, as I go through the presentation, please just, feel free to write in the chat because I will be following, anything you're saying. And hopefully with the technology, I should be able to get both the LinkedIn and Facebook comments in the chat. So I'll keep an eye on what's been said. If you have any questions, it's helpful to just put question in the chat so I can sort of catch it and hopefully answer it. So it's really great to be here again, doing another live broadcast in the kind of Daring Mindset series. So just to recap a little bit. So the daring mindset itself it's partly a framework that I've designed to help us to get out of our comfort zones through that kind of stretch fear zone and into a space where we can be daring. We can, do new things. We can challenge ourselves and ultimately put ourselves into that, that place of growth. And I went through the daring mindset in the last live. So really just a very quick recap is that the daring mindset is both a powerful state of mind. Oh, hi, Kirsty. It's both so the daring mindset is a powerful state of mind and also a framework to help guide you through kind of a guided process to help you create that daring mindset and to be bold and to go outside your comfort zone. And it's sort of when you look at the stage process, it looks kind of simple. Great. We think differently. We become aware of our strengths and what holds us back. We can reimagine, we can reinvent our lives, our careers, our businesses. We can innovate and we can implement those innovations. We can sort of nurture and nourish ourselves as we do these new things. And also we can be grateful for what we have and for the growth we have. So on the face of it, it looks pretty simple. But if it were that easy, we would all be doing it. I think that's one of the challenges. So as I was kind of thinking about the daring mindset and going from my own experience of, having goals and then not necessarily achieving them, I sort of wanted to have a think really about what is it that stops us just having that daring mindset. And that's when I came up with the framework around the doubting mindset. So in a very similar way, it is both a powerful state of mind, if not in the same, if not working to our advantage. And again, it's a kind of a staged process to help us become aware of all of the things that are going on under the surface, which is kind of preventing us from doing what we want to do. So if you think about, what happens when we have an idea or we set to go outside our comfort zones, whether it's, there is no such thing as a small dare, but whatever it is, whether it's meeting up for dinner for the first time since COVID, or, quitting your job and setting up your own coaching business, to pick an example at random. When we think about doing this, for our brains, that is change. So what then happens is it sort of sets off a cascade of subconscious processes, thoughts and beliefs, which kind of are activated by that change. Because for our brains, and from our sort of evolutionary background, change equals the unknown. And the unknown, we are kind of primed to regard as a threat. So what our subconscious does is sort of come up with all these reasons and beliefs and thoughts and all these unconscious processes that kind of gently herd us back into our comfort zone. And the way I sort of think about it is the daring mindset sort of outlines a lot of those unconscious processes, those thoughts, which then lead to those behaviors of distraction, procrastination, self-sabotage, creating drama, denial, all of those things which kind of pull us back into safety. So I outlined, excuse me, I outlined the doubting process in a very similar way. So to sort of go through it, I guess sort of in not too much detail, is if we start with D. So when we think about, we start off when we've had this idea or, whatever it is we want to do, and we start off being really, really excited. But then these thoughts, these unconscious thoughts come in, which sort of start us to think, that's difficult. Which from that kind of our brains trying to keep us safe, then sort of suggests that could be dangerous. It could be risky to our career prospects, financially, our relationships. And, we start to think, do you know what, it could damage those things. It could damage our security. So, again, that's flagged a warning in our brains that this could be risky, this could be dangerous. What then that can spark, particularly if we perceive something as being very difficult, is overwhelm. So if we think, the O of doubting is overwhelm, and we start to think, there's so many things I have to do, maybe so many things I don't know, that I have no idea where to start. It feels difficult, it feels dangerous, I'm just completely overwhelmed. Another factor that can come in for us is also thinking about, what do other people think? And that's a big one. Certainly for me, it's a big one. In that, if I make this change, if I do something different, what might my friends or my family think? What might my co-workers or my employer think? What might my bank manager think if I'm, making a big financial risk? And because almost one of the most basic human drivers is to belong. So if we start to think we're threatening our sense of belonging and our sense of inclusion, that is a big factor which stops us doing, what we want to do. And that kind of then starts to create the narrative that, this is outrageous, I can't do this. This is so out of character. What will other people think? I can't do it. So from that process, we start to feel, perhaps some of the physical, again, start to feel some of the physical symptoms. Maybe we feel a bit uncomfortable, but we maybe can't pin down exactly what it is we're feeling. We have that feeling of uncertainty, which again, not knowing what is going to happen is a scary thing for us. And we can start to sort of then create this narrative around, actually, it's unthinkable that I could do this. What was I thinking? Who am I to be, proposing to do whatever it is we're doing? Which sort of speaks to our identity, which I'll come to in a minute. So again, we've got all this narrative. We're now starting to get some feelings. We've got some chatter going on, which then leads us to the B of doubting. And we can start to come in with, but. So if you think about it, whenever we start to think about, perhaps I could do it this way, or people give us suggestions about how we might be able to, achieve our dream. And what we start to automatically come back with is, but I can't do that, or but I haven't got the money, but I couldn't take the time, but I have my family to think of, but. So we can sort of create a nice little barrier, a nice little shield around us, which is, hopefully then any kind of any helpful suggestions can just bounce off, and we're protected from having to perhaps do this scary thing. And that also aligns to our beliefs. It aligns to our beliefs about ourselves, perhaps our beliefs about what we're capable of, and that can feed in again to this narrative of things just being too big. It's too big. I can't do it. Yeah, but all of these things. So we're now sort of, kind of protected behind a nice safe barrier of yeah, but. And I think when we think about that, things being too big, things being against our beliefs about ourselves, that can then trigger some of the stronger sort of physiological and psychological feelings and impacts, which can sort of kick us into that primeval fear response, that kind of fight, flight, or freeze, which sort of can manifest itself then as perhaps terror or threat, or, to a lesser extent, perhaps trepidation. That's when we get those real body feelings. We get that knot in the stomach. We get that tension. Maybe, we get an increased heart rate or all of those things, which are basically telling our body that this is seriously, seriously dangerous. The minute we start getting those physiological responses, that kicks us into a very much we have to protect ourselves now. So part of the thing, the way we do it, is to kind of give ourselves a bit of an out. So we've got that absolute fear response, and our brains are now kind of going like, we have to get out of this. So that's again when we start to up the ante a bit. So we think, oh God, this is impossible. Yeah, actually, do you know what? This is impossible. I can't do it. We can bring again our identity into things, and our identity is one of our strongest drivers for doing or not doing things. So if you think about, as I did, I left a very successful career, an 18-year career, and decided to become a coach. Now, in that, I had to change my perception of my identity from, a director of research in a university. I get paid every month, it's all very secure, but ultimately not what I wanted to do. And move then into becoming a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, a coach, a self-employed person. And, working through some of those identity things. And if we don't do that, what we can then find ourselves sort of doing is, I am not the sort of person that can do this. I am, people like me, perhaps women or people of colour, people with disabilities, people who are LGBTQ. Those identities will say, I am not the sort of person that does this, therefore I won't do it. And so that really kind of then starts to entrench our belief that this is not for us. That may also be kind of tied in with things like, insecurity or the risk of investment. I am not the sort of person that would make this kind of investment. And what that happens is now, so we've pretty much convinced ourselves by this point that, this is dangerous, this is not a good idea, it's not something that actually I would do, all of those kind of things. So what we then do really is then start to kind of do that entrenchment, that backing away. We're now pretty much backing away into our comfort zone. And in that, we start to convince ourselves that actually we kind of didn't want to do it anyway. It was a nice idea, but nah, it's not really for me. So maybe we'll bring in that, it's not needed. I'm fine in my job. I'm fine doing what I'm doing without making this change. We also can think sort of negatively about the idea or the thing we were going to do. So we can start to think negative and say, well, actually, it's not such a good idea. It would take so much work. I don't have the time. Yeah, it was a bit of a rubbish idea, really. And we can also think negatively about ourselves and sort of think, actually, I'm not allowed to do this in whatever way, or whatever sense we mean, whether it's we're not allowed to risk the investment or the time or our, family security, or I am not allowed to do this as a woman, or perhaps somebody from my background, somebody with my education, I'm not allowed to do this. So we don't give ourselves permission to do it. And once we've done that, we're pretty much back in our comfort zone, or not very comfort zone, and we've pretty much scotched all thoughts that this is something we're going to do. And the difficulty that then happens is we then start to create a belief that we can't come up with ideas and we can't follow them through to create a new future. We can't, we're almost not good enough because we can't do this. Even though actually the only thing that has told us we can't do this are these subconscious programs. That's the only thing that has told us that this is not possible for us. So we create this belief of not being good enough. And always we start then to guard against always having ideas in the future, or other people, coming up with ideas or suggestions. And, that can then lead us to feel, as the last G of doubting is pretty much, we just feel grumpy because we feel like we're trapped in our comfort zone, but we can't, every time we try and break out of it, we sort of go through this process and tell ourselves we can't. So that's a pretty stagnant place to be. And the difficulty is, it's the place I was for probably quite a long time. And I think a lot of us are, just think of our New Year's resolutions. So that's why I wanted to kind of create the daring mindset, to give us a route out of our comfort zones, and also to kind of map out this daring mindset and the thoughts and the processes and the behaviors that we do, because awareness is the absolute antidote to this. It absolutely is, because most of what I've talked about in this doubting mindset, it's unconscious. Some of it happens quicker than thought. We've had the reaction. Certainly the threat reaction happens way faster than our thought processes. And so we find ourselves responding to things that actually we've no idea what caused them. We have a feeling and we're not sure why. So the more we can become aware, the more we can catch ourselves, telling ourselves that actually I can't do this, or I don't want to do it. I never wanted to do it in the first place. And we can actually catch ourselves and go, well, hang on, I do. I would be really good at this. And so that's almost the kind of the take home, really, I think, for this, is to start really noticing what goes on for you. Just generally, because this applies to, pretty much everything we do, this subconscious process. So really start to kind of be aware of what's going on for you. And start to catch these thoughts, this chatter, the bodily feelings, and start then to sort of think, okay, what is this? What is going on? And when you can do that, you can then start unpicking it and looking underneath. So it's like, well, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. What's that about? Actually, I fear that there's too much to do. Okay, so let's break it down into bits. And the advantage of actually starting to look beneath these thoughts and behaviors is we can then start to do something about them. So if you are feeling fear, you can unpack that and see, well, what is the fear? What's behind it? And often you'll find that actually there's probably nothing behind it. This is an old pattern that we picked up years ago, and we can just let it go. Or there is something to fear, but we can actually start to take action. What is it we can do to now mitigate that fear and that risk? So the thing I would encourage you to ask as you sort of go through your week is, perhaps when you're not sure, or when some of these things start, you feel a bit odd, perhaps, ask yourself, am I doubting or am I daring? Because excitement and fear actually have pretty much the same feeling in our body. It's just how we interpret them. And if our program is to interpret that feeling as fear, then we will just go, yep, that's fear. But we can relearn. So now, whenever I get that sort of knot in my stomach, now I'm sort of like, oh, what have I got to be excited about? Rather than previously, which was, oh, there's something I need to fear here. So that's it. So that's really to take away is be aware. Be aware that a lot of what is going on under the surface is sort of programs that we laid down probably before the age of 7. So we picked up most of our understanding of ourselves, of the world, how we fit in with the world and other people. We did that in early childhood. So to take away with you is actually think, as an adult, unless we have any 7-year-olds watching, in which case, hi, you have amazing futures to look forward to. But for all the adults here, really think about, do you want your amazing, powerful adult self with all your knowledge and experience and passion and everything? Do you want that person running the show? Or do you want your 7-year-old deciding what you're going to do, deciding on what your future is? Now, for most people, I'm pretty sure you're going to want that amazing adult to be taking charge. So in the next live, next week, same time next week, B, hi, that's really, it's great to have you here. And thank you for your reflections. Now, I may be able to put this on the screen. Yeah, so this is from B. Stevenson. So very true about doubting versus daring. It's something I've learned a lot about in recent years within my business. And it's something we will probably all be familiar with, even if we're not sort of quite sure how. And B, yeah. This is great. Yeah, I've got some great comments coming in. So B, here we go. Leaning into the excitement of the potential growth is always worth it. Absolutely. And then Kirsty come in with, bringing in this conscious awareness into doubting. And you're absolutely right. We do rarely acknowledge and examine it. It's something we don't think to look at. But when we do, it's amazing. And Caroline, hi. So this is what you needed after feeling daring on Monday, then the doubt creeping in on Tuesday, and overwhelm yesterday. Absolutely. And the more this can help with that, the more we can challenge it, the more powerful we get, the more we know we can overcome that doubt. And that's all it is. It's not reality, it's doubt. And we can do that. We can nurture our 7-year-old who's scared because they think they're going to have to do it. No, it's the adult that's doing it. So I'm going to do another live this time next week, in which I will run through my process as to how we get from this doubting to daring state to be able to to let go of all these unconscious beliefs and all the baggage we're hanging on to, habitual thinking, and really connect with our big dreams, and then make them bigger and then bigger, and to allow ourselves to dream bigger than we ever have before, and to then set those really kind of ambitious goals that allow us to do things we've always wanted to, but maybe never been conscious, never allowed ourselves to think it, and never allowed ourselves to do it. And in doing that, in setting those really bold goals, aligned to that, so in my daring mindset one-to-one and group programs, what we do is we do that. We connect with those really big goals, and we also do the really deep mindset underneath it, to help us, to help avoid that, that overwhelm, that doubt, and then that overwhelm coming in on a couple of days later, as Caroline said. So tune in next week for the 6 F's Daring Accelerator, which is where I'll talk you through a process that can be done in a big group, in a coaching program, or, as I now am able to do it sort of in the shower or when you're out for a walk in just a couple of minutes, to really go through, am I doubting? Yeah, here's what I can do about it. Boom, daring. So thank you for everybody who's tuned in. It's been so exciting to be able to talk to you. I love the technology, and yeah, let go of your daring and let go of your doubting. Gosh, and take daring with you into your week. Thank you.